We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interest of Independence Day. Perhaps it is fate that today is the 4th of July, and you will once again be watching Independence Day on VHS from 1996. Today, we celebrate Roland Emmerich's Independence Day.
Welcome back to the Active Violence channel. My name is Alec. Today we are talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, Independence Day from 1996. My dad, my brother, and I saw this movie. I was 5 years old. It's one of the most memorable theater experiences I have. This movie is literally burned into my skull. And when I say burned into my skull, I mean if when I was dead and you decapitated my head, like that guy in Wild Wild West, ran a projector through my eyes, you could watch this movie. Let's go ahead and pop the tape in, shall we? This is one of my favorite trailers on a VHS ever. It's for Volcano, which I also have right here. After that, there's a trailer for the Independence Day video game. This was released on PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and Windows 95 PC-ROM. I've got the PlayStation version here. I've only played it a couple times. I bought this after the fact because I bought a lot of Independence Day stuff. While we're talking about the marketing for this movie, let's also talk about the book. I've got that as well here. One of those classic novelizations that has photos in the middle of the movie. Sometimes these novelizations dropped before the actual movie, so you could spoil the whole thing for yourself. Let us not forget one of the best toy lines for a movie in the 90s. Trendmasters, a toy line that I miss, to be honest. I'm holding my actual President Whitmore action figure from my childhood. I have a bunch of these action figures, actually. Science Officer was one I had as a kid. The Attack Pilot was one my brother had as a kid. My brother actually had like the, an F-18, and I had the Alien spaceship. A few years ago, I started recollecting these toys just because I love them so much. One of the interesting things about this toy line was the mission disc floppy disks that came with it that included a game you could play on a PC if you had a floppy disk drive, and it met these requirements. And these are really cool looking discs. Just looking back, this is fun stuff to have for me. And not a lot of people really like Independence Day and collect it heavily, so all this stuff's pretty cheap still. I even got some video store displays. I know this movie does get a lot of hate and a lot of criticisms, especially in recent years. The first time I saw it brought up was, I think, a Cracked article back in the day. I read Cracked when I was in high school, I know. But it was mainly an article criticizing how Jeff Goldblum's character hacks into a spaceship and gives it a virus with an Apple PowerBook. Fair criticism, but that's one of the main criticisms that everybody has about this movie. It's like, while it technically might be a science fiction movie, it's also more of an action disaster movie. And let's go ahead and talk about some of the positives of this movie. The cast and the characters. Will Smith. This is maybe my favorite Will Smith role outside of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Then again, there is Men in Black. My favorite genre of movies is Will Smith fighting aliens from the 90s. One of the things I identify most with about this character is that he slept in, is casually going about his morning, and then he realizes, oh, there's an alien spaceship in the sky. That's how it would happen to me. I'd wake up at 2 in the afternoon and be like, oh, we haven't been invaded by aliens for like 6 hours now. I had no idea. Jeff Goldblum. When I was a kid, this is who I wanted to grow up to be. Still, this character makes me want to get some plants from my apartment. Jeff Goldblum at his Jeff Goldblumiest. Bill Pullman, you know. Him and Robert Loggia would also appear in Lost Highway from David Lynch. Big David Lynch fan, so honestly, I think Bill Pullman's just an underrated actor. I really like him. Judd Hirsch and Randy Quaid, great performances, fun characters, particularly for me, Judd Hirsch. James Duvall's Randy Quaid's son, and he plays Frank in Donnie Darko. The First Lady, played by Mary McDonnell, is also in Donnie Darko, as Donnie Darko's mother. Vivica A. Fox gives a great performance of this movie. Every time she turns up in something, I'm kind of like, oh hey, Harvey Fierstein.
David, haven't you been watching?
He was also in Mrs. Doubtfire, you might recognize him from that. But his voice is just very iconic. Every line he says I love in this movie, and I love to imitate it.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god, I gotta call my brother. I better call my housekeeper. I gotta call my lawyer. Forget my lawyer.
Brent Spiner, you know, Data from Star Trek. He's Dr. Oaken, and this is a great character too. Very interesting and fun and always quirky. I love the mad scientist type characters in anything. One of my other big positives is the effects in this movie. There was a record 3,000 plus special effects shots in this movie. Most of the shots were on set, in-camera stuff. A lot of miniature models, a lot of big alien suits, a 65-foot long alien spaceship in a hangar. They went all out. Visually, I think this movie holds up almost as well as Jurassic Park and Terminator 2. I get blown away rewatching this movie because of stuff like that. The alien surgery scene in design Well, these days it just reminds me of Spider-Man 2 and how well this scene could have been executed. But overall, I still think it's a fun scene. Let's talk about some of my favorite plot elements from this movie. They do the LA/New York/DC thing, where you have a bunch of different characters that end up converging in the third act. I love disaster movies, so anytime you show a bunch of aliens showing up or a storm coming in, you know, stuff starts to get crazy and everybody's all of a sudden paying attention all around the world, like, I love that stuff. I eat it up. I know it's cheesy, I know it's corny, but I love it. You know what's interesting? I get hard when they draw diagrams or explain stuff using small, like, miniatures or stuff in movies.
You mean like line of sight?
The scenes of all the models getting destroyed, like the White House, that's a model. Now it's CGI enhanced, I'm sure, but most of that's in camera. They're really blowing up a model there. Now surely the laser is CGI, right? But then for a moment the movie turns into Top Gun versus Aliens. Hell, Goose even dies. Despite his death, we quickly forget about him because this is meant to be a fun, popcorn July 4th movie. Bring the whole family out to the movie theater. Watch them destroy aliens. Unite America. Unite the world. Speaking of, though, that speech, come on, that's just Bill Pullman, baby. I'd vote for him. I do enjoy the Must Go Faster reference from Jurassic Park that Jeff Goldblum has in this. As a kid, each time I would watch either of these movies, I'd be confused and think, wait, does he say this? And I thought he said this in the other movie. It was only till I was a teenager that I realized, no, it's in both movies. There's a couple negatives I do see with this movie, but they're nothing big for me. I can look over the PowerBook thing completely. That doesn't bother me at all, because most of it they describe as being a signal.
We're in.
Which the aliens have hacked into the Earth signal, so people don't find that unbelievable, because it's just a simple satellite signal, right? The scene where David tracks his wife's actual position in the White House is unnecessary. He doesn't need to do that. Why don't you just call her? Why do you have to be like, I know where you are, too. Come to the window, I'm here, I'm outside. It serves no purpose other than to be interesting for us, I guess. And then Russell is just not believed about the aliens, which makes sense for most of the movie, until the aliens actually show up, and then they're literally talking about how they're going to attack the aliens, and he's like, yeah, I was kidnapped by aliens once. And this guy gives this look that's like, yeah, sure, buddy, aliens, ha. And as a viewer, what are we supposed to think there? That guy's an asshole? Or before I rate this movie, why don't you go ahead and jump in the comments down below and let me know what you thought of Independence Day, if you're as nostalgic for it as I am, and if you're gonna go watch it after this video. I know you are. I'm gonna give this movie a 4.5 out of 5 hearts. It's great. It doesn't make you think, but this movie's not supposed to make you think much. You're just supposed to have a good time. And I do. So just relax and watch Will Smith kick some alien ass. And happy we defeated the aliens day. If you like this video, check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.